Hey everybody, welcome back to another Music Wednesdays. We've got another returning guest, but in a different capacity this time. Ben VanderHart is with us by yourself.
Yeah.
Ben, some of you guys probably will recognize from the band Telemonster.
Yeah.
But you've sort of been doing some solo stuff, huh?
Yeah, just trying to get out there a little bit more, spend more time just meeting people and getting more comfortable just playing some of these songs by myself.
Are they same songs?
Some of them, yeah. A lot of them are Telemonster songs. I usually write for a full band. I rarely ever sit down and write a song end to end on acoustic guitar. So in some ways, I find myself just covering my band. But I think it's a good exercise in just becoming a better performer. And
yeah. I want to get into that a little bit more, how that's different. But we always like to start out as soon as we can with some music. So what are you going to play first?
This is a song called Birmingham. It's a bit of a dark one to start on, but it's been a favorite with a lot of folks. So
all right, cool.
Here we go.
Oh my God, they called no less than 6 times while my phone was off. I saw your knees go weak while you were already lost in Birmingham, and you could barely speak. Your heart was so far in your throat, and I could not cry 'cause we were never very close. I cursed my eyes for being calloused and composed. Scarce a word was spoken while we drove our car to Birmingham, for greetings shared with broken hearts and faces buried in their hands. I could not cry 'cause we were never very close. I cursed my eyes for being calloused and composed. Standing in a nervous circle round the bed, we tried to hold back while you raised her hand to feel the life inside you. And then I cried 'cause we were never very close, and cursed my eyes while she was lying comatose. I cursed myself for waiting till it came down to this moment, and I cried my eyes out driving home from Birmingham.
Well, that is a little dark to start, but I get why it probably does very well. Everybody's gotten that phone call or something similar, I imagine, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Is that one you do with the band? You just said you did, yeah?
It is, yeah. That was on our most recent record that just came out in January.
How is it different doing a song like that just by yourself with a band than with a band?
Well, it's always higher stakes when it's just by yourself. Anybody who plays in an ensemble will tell you it's more comforting to sort of be around people. It's more familiar, and if you make a mistake,
right,
everybody else kind of has your back. With a song like that, it's also, I think, it's already a pretty vulnerable song. It's pretty personal, and so when it's just you, you really feel like you're kind of under scrutiny and under a spotlight.
It's interesting. I know I'm repeating myself, but that's why we do this every week. To hear, we had Jermaine Pureforian last week, and I was rewatching it, and he was lead singer for the Impressions for the last 2 or 3 years, and he's now doing a lot of his own stuff. And to hear him describe the difference between doing a cover song, which he does for a lot of weddings and all that, and then his own. I think his example was the criticism. It hurts less when somebody says he doesn't sound like John Legend when they say, I don't like your own song. So that vulnerability, it's pretty real, isn't it? That to me is one of the, I mean, I've done this a long, long time, but in the 3 or 4 years that we've done this, to sit in this chair and watch somebody like you come in and just literally open up like that, it's powerful when it's in a crowd of 80,000, but it's different when it's right here. So
yeah, it's just us. It's
just you, and I appreciate it. And I appreciate it in the truest sense of that word. I appreciate what you guys are doing.
Well, I think that's really what every artist is trying to do is try to reach somebody and create something that resonates with another person and connect with that person. I mean, that's the reason that we create art, is to try to connect with other people.
Right.
And I think oftentimes, fame and popularity get confused with that. An artist starts to seek fame because they think that's what they're looking for. But I think the most rewarding experience for an artist is just to feel like you've connected with something, with someone, and created something that another person could relate to. So
I'm going to ask just because that's curious, and we're going to go deep, if that's all right.
Yeah.
But a song like that is a good example of, we've also had a conversation many times in here about how much detail, how much does the listener have to completely get the story versus have their own interpretation.
Yeah, that's always a big question. I remember when I was in college, we studied literary criticism, and there's a school of literary criticism called reader response criticism, which says that the real meaning of any text is in the reader's experience or how they interpret it. And then, of course, the opposite side of that is to say, no, the only meaning is what the author intended. And I think with songwriting, just by default, most times we don't know the stories. And there's something beautiful about every listener just bringing their own experience and their own story to a song like that. And and rather than, sometimes it's nice to know what happened, or what we love stories, so we like to hear what the author's story was. But the only reason that it will emotionally resonate with anybody is if they've had a similar experience and can bring that to the table. Absolutely, and that's where I could see you could almost put too much detail in, and then it takes that my own interpretation out of it. Yeah, and it no longer becomes personal to you because it's something, The ones that always get me, and I'm not trying to be facetious, but you'll read the story later and it will be inspired by a cereal box or something, something like, how would I have ever, there's no way I was going to get that. So, well, I mean, with that particular song, I had written a song and shared it with a friend, and they gave me some good feedback, some good criticism. They said, the lyrics don't evoke any specific emotion. It's hard for me to relate to because they're too abstract. And I sat down and I wrote this song because I thought, what have been some of the most meaningful experiences of my life, and what's something that I could write about that's just grounded in history and like real fact. And it was really refreshing to be able to write something that tells a story and is pretty specific, and everybody knows what it's about if you hear it, because so often I sort of relegated that to country music or, some other art forms that are maybe a little too, just too much like face value. Right. Well, and I love, the story of, going to visit someone, getting the phone call and then going to visit someone who's dying, I love, but also the idea of you feeling somewhat guilty about not feeling overwhelmed. Yeah. I wrote it about a specific instance that happened with, a family member on my wife's side. And as I wrote it, I realized that, the same thing happened when my grandfather died, and so many other people where you have a hard time grieving because you didn't spend enough time trying to get to know that person, or investing in their lives. And then eventually, in my case, that's really what broke me and made me grieve the most, is that I hadn't spent more time trying to do that. I told you we were going to go deep. Yeah. I like it. You never know where it's going to go. What do you want to do next? I'll do something a little more upbeat. This is a song called Opheliac. This is also a Telemonster
I
track.
like this song quite a bit.
All right, this is about a fear of drowning, but it's a more upbeat song.
I never was a swimming kid. Of all the things that I ever did, I wasn't underwater much. Coming up just to choke and blush, I couldn't keep myself afloat. Treading hard, arms as thin as bone, but there was something underneath the gravity. Hanging from the buoy rope, the only way I could stay afloat. I watched you stroke behind your head, so relaxed like you were in bed. I thought you were a maniac, no notion of aquaphiliac, and I was an opheliac. I never was a swimming kid. I never was a swimming kid.
My favorite off that album.
Thank you. Thanks.
Telemonster is the band name. You said it came out in January.
Yeah, we did a bit of a quirky thing where we premiered it on Bandcamp.com in November of last year, and sort of for everybody, all of our fans who wanted it early, they could buy it on Bandcamp. And then we did a full release on all the digital streaming platforms in January, which is kind of the official thing. And anybody who is anybody could get it.
People can still get it now.
Yeah, it's still
It's
out
a
there,
really,
yeah.
really good record. I highly recommend it to people. And if I remember when we talked back then, you and the band had kind of taken a break, right? You just had babies and...
Yeah. I mean, we were heavily involved in the live music scene, playing, sometimes twice a month or 3 times a month from like 2010 to 2013, 14. And yeah, we had 8 kids in a course of 3 years between the whole band. And so things just got a little hectic, as you can imagine. And job responsibilities, became bigger and bigger. And so we did take a break, but nobody ever said, hey guys, like I got to quit the band. And so I think everybody kind of was secretly hoping it would come back around. And once we got our feet back under us, we started, we said, well, practicing like every single week and doing monthly gigs, that's hard to do, but we can make a record, like,
Right.
So I built out a home studio, and we just started recording, and it took like a year and a half or so, because we were just sort of snatching hours here and there,
Right.
and staying up till 2 a.m. after everybody's kids had gone to bed to get it done.
Yeah. It's
So-
a really well-produced record, and that's part of what I like about it is that sort of ethereal sound that you managed to get on some of the songs.
Thanks.
It's really cool. And so I assume the band is still...
Yeah, we're still alive and kicking. We're on all the social media platforms, and we just released a couple new live videos that we did at Songbirds. They helped us produce some live recordings, and those are out on YouTube. And we're not playing as many shows as we used to, but we are trying to be more intentional about the shows that we play, so that when we do play a show, it's a really special event, and everybody who wants to see us, will come out. A lot of times what happens and what we experienced was when we were playing once a month or twice a month, your fan base kind of starts to get a mentality of like, oh, well, I'll catch the next show.
Yeah.
Just like any other, scarcity drives up demand with a band just as much as
Yep,
any other.
yep. That's a hot topic of discussion with a lot of people in town.
Yeah.
You can oversaturate your market, and the idea of a free show on Friday and then a ticketed one on Saturday,
Yeah.
kind of hard to sell that.
Right, yeah.
Well, let's hear another song because I know you brought several, and I want to get through as many as we can.
Yeah.
So.
This is not a Telemonster song. This is just a little thing I wrote. It's called Jacket.
I hate to see you walking down the road when you're off in the distance, getting smaller by the minute. You thought I was your jacket to keep you afloat, to calm you in the racket of the boat until your mouth was full of water and your eyes were full of fire burning through my chest. But you can't come through, can't do just anything that you wanna do. You can't just push through, 'cause I won't let you. Said I put blinders on your eyes, can't say I didn't try. But didn't I put clay there too? Don't mean to come close to sacrilege. I guess that's on the edge. I don't know how else to say it. I feel like I was happy to be used to make a better you. And you were burning up my crude, hard pieces of impurity. Dross pieces of my soul, burning all that wasn't gold. You can't come through, can't do just anything that you wanna do. You can't just push through, 'cause I won't let you. No, you can't come through, can't do just anything that you wanna do. You can't just push through, can't put your head down and your elbows in front of you. No, you can't push through, 'cause I won't let you. No, I won't let you.
Nice. And you wrote that one to be a solo. that right?
I've got a lot of different ideas going on, between kind of folk singer-songwriter type solo projects, which is kind of where I think I would land if I was just doing my own stuff. Telemonster is always kind of the first thing that I gravitate to because I'm always more interested in like rock and alternative and highly orchestrated music.
Right.
I've also got electronic and dance music that I do on the side too, which I'll figure out how to release that at some point.
Is it much different writing for switching back and forth?
Yeah, I think it's really just kind of a matter of vibe. Somebody once told me that as musicians, like really we're just curators of vibe. And so there's sometimes I'll write a song that's finger picking on acoustic guitar and it feels like I think this is a Telemonster song. It just feels like it should be. And other times I write something that's maybe more in the vein of the Innocence Mission or Nick Drake or something, and it just doesn't feel like it's going to end up being a Telemonster song.
Right.
So, but it's kind of just a gut feel.
Is that more arrangement, or does it translate as far as like lyrics too? Do you find yourself, and I'm totally guessing, but writing a lyric and saying, "Ooh, band members won't like that," or "That's too personal"?
No, we're all cut from the same cloth, so it's
yeah.
No, it's never a lyrical thing. I always write about the same stuff over and over.
Interesting, because I've talked for some reason this past year between acts coming to Riverbend and Bonnaroo and local. It seems there's this thing of I just wrote this for me, and I didn't expect anybody to like it or not. So I went really deep and personal, and wouldn't have never written it for a band type of thing. And the interesting thing is it seems to become their most popular stuff. It's the stuff people like.
Yeah, I'm always drawn to people who have the guts to just sort of put themselves out there and sort of bare their souls. Sure. And when we perform live, we don't jump around on stage or do a lot of dancing or stuff like that. Even though a lot of the songs are pretty high energy, because to me they're all very personal and very introspective, and a lot of them are very technical and complicated. So for me, I just kind of get in the zone and try to focus on the personality of the song, and just making myself and my stories accessible to people.
Gotcha.
When I watch an artist, a lot of times, I just think like the costumes and sometimes the light shows, and there's so many other things that you can do, which to me just kind of distract from the music. And that's just a personal preference. A lot of people, that's why they go to shows. But as you're saying that, I'm thinking of two of the bigger shows that I've seen it recently at Bonnaroo, Muse being one and Childish Gambino being the other, complete polar opposites. Mm-hmm. Gambino came out, just him on that massive stage and held everybody transfixed for 90 minutes, and Muse comes out and it's nothing but technology. I couldn't hum you a song. Right. Yeah.
And both in their way were entertaining.
Yeah.
But I remember when the Muse show was over, I was like, I couldn't hum you a single bar of anything we just heard. So I get what you're saying.
But your brain's all lit up.
Yeah, the brain was fried, and the people loved it, obviously. But that Gambino thing, I mean, it was incredible to watch one guy hold 80,000 people, palm of his hand for 90 minutes.
Yeah, he's incredibly talented.
It was amazing. Well, let's hear another one. What are you going to do?
Oh, boy. All right. This is an old Telemonster song from a record we put out in 2012. It's called The Taste.
the taste. I have lost the taste. I have lost the taste.
I want to ask you to do one more, if you don't mind.
Okay.
But before we do that, where are you guys? We didn't really ask. Are you playing anywhere coming up? Is the band playing anywhere coming up?
We're planning to get a show together before the end of the year, but we don't have anything booked right now. A lot of my time has been tied up running the record label that we started to release the album, and been signing new artists. And we've just signed an artist who goes by the name Momo. He's from Brazil, lives in Portugal now, and I was not expecting to be doing an international album at this stage so early, but it's an incredible record. The last one was on Universal Music, and he decided he wanted to find a smaller label to partner with, and so he picked us.
Wow.
So we're incredibly honored, and he's got 3 singles out, and he's got a full-length album, his 6th one coming out at the beginning of September. So
That's right. I think that's the first, when you and I first talked, it was to discuss this idea of opening a record label here. How's that going? Obviously,
it's going well. It's a long-term game. Where it takes a while to sort of you build relationships with people and distributors, with the press and all these folks. And so right now we're just trying to keep putting out good music and try to build a reputation and get as much support as we can.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So,
I mean, talk about bucking trends.
Yeah.
All of them.
Yeah.
Local, label, selling records.
Yeah, well, we just, I was
ambitious.
talking with the sound guys before that I was, there's so many cool labels that have been started by artists and have been started in cities just like Chattanooga.
Yeah, sure.
Superchunk started Merge Records in North Carolina, and Sufjan Stevens started Asthmatic Kitty, which was in Lander, Wyoming for 20 years,
Yeah.
And so we just thought, look, we could start a label. Chattanooga can have a label. There's no reason we can't do that.
We'll have to come back and have a whole nother discussion about all this.
Yeah, maybe I'll bring some of the other artists on the label to do it.
Bring Momo. I'd love to have.
Yeah.
That might be the longest traveled artist we've had in here.
I hope we can get him to Chattanooga.
That'd be awesome. Ben VanderHart, Telemonster, Ben VanderHart Music. Look it up. It's all really good. Thank you for coming in.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.
What are you going to play last here?
This is a new song. I've only played it live for a couple of people, but it's an upcoming Telemonster record. It's a bit of kind of an alternative country punk rock type thing. So
Cool.
We'll go out on a high note.
Pushing buttons through their holes. Your shoes don't shine, 'cause you think that you look older. I idolize myself in hopes that you will toe the line, but I don't admit it's true. doesn't show. Gotta trust your mind, gotta trust your mind, gotta trust your mind. Gotta trust your mind, gotta trust your mind, gotta trust your mind. Gotta trust your mind, gotta trust your mind, gotta trust your mind, gotta trust your mind, gotta trust your mind. Said you were fine, now you're crying all the time. Said you were fine, now you're crying all the time. Said you were fine, now you're crying all the time. Said you were fine, now you're crying all the time. Now you're crying all the time. Now you're crying all the time.
It's good stuff, Ben.
Thanks.
Thanks again so much, and thank you guys for watching.